Hey everyone! So today, we're going to talk about something that a lot of founders kind of push to the back of their minds. It's one of the most critical documents for any startup, but it's not always the most exciting. I'm talking about the capitalization table. And as we're about to see, getting this right from day one can absolutely be your secret weapon.
And this quote just nails it. The cap table can feel like boring admin work when your head's down, actually building your product. But ignoring it, well, that can stop you dead in your tracks.
So, think about this. Before you get to show off your amazing demo, before you even open your visionary pitch deck, there's this one quiet document that every single serious investor is going to ask to see first. And yeah, you guessed it, it's the cap table. So let's get into why it's so important.
Right, because a cap table is so much more than a list of names and percentages in a spreadsheet. It really is the foundation of your company. It tells a story.
I mean, at its core, it's pretty simple. It's a record of who owns what. But a much better way to think about it is like a map of your company's ownership that traces every single decision you've made. Each entry represents a choice that literally shaped the future of your business.
And that gets us to the really crucial point here. This isn't just about accounting. Nope, this is about power. It's about leverage, and it's about who is ultimately in control of this thing you're building.
Think about it this way. When you walk into a room to negotiate with an investor, a clean, well-thought-out cap table is your single greatest source of leverage. It sends a powerful signal that you're a serious founder who thinks ahead. But a messy one. You've lost that leverage before you even say hello. It is so easy to think of equity as kind of like monopoly money in those early days. But every single percentage point you give away is a little piece of control that you no longer have. It's a decision about who gets a vote in your company's future. And those small, seemingly insignificant decisions you make early on, they have massive, echoing consequences. You gave 10% to a dev agency to build your first prototype, maybe 5% to a friend for a few introductions. Those choices don't just vanish. They live right there on your cap table. And you better believe future investors are going to have some very tough questions about them.
So, what does a good cap table actually look like? Let's walk through the ideal scenario, the kind of clean, founder-friendly start that really sets you up for success.
Okay, look at this. This is what you're aiming for. It's simple. You've got two co-founders with a nice, equal, balanced split. And this part is critical. They've already set aside a 10% option pool. That is equity reserved specifically to attract and retain those crucial future hires. Your first lead engineer, maybe a head of sales. An investor sees this and immediately knows you're aligned and you're thinking strategically about how to grow.
And visually, the balance is just immediately clear. It's clean, it's simple, and it leaves no room for awkward questions. The founders are in control, they're on equal footing, and they are prepared for the future. To an investor, this is what a strong foundation looks like. It's beautiful.
All right, now for the flip side. Let's look at the cautionary tale, the messy cap table, and see just how much it can slow everything down.
Okay, let's break this one down, because it's a doozy. The founder still has 65%, which, seems pretty high. But look closer. 10% is owned by a dev agency that's probably not even involved anymore. 5% went to a friend. Another 3% to an advisor, but without any vesting schedule. That means they own it all outright, even if they stop helping tomorrow. Every single one of these lines is a huge red flag for an investor.
This chart just screams chaos, right? An investor looking at this isn't thinking about your amazing product. They're thinking, okay, who are all these people, and why on earth do they own a piece of this company? How much of a legal mess is this going to be to clean up before I can even think about putting my money in? It's all risk.
So the crucial point here is that the cost is very, very real. This isn't just about a messy document. We're talking about deals that fall through. We're talking about a total loss of momentum while you're forced to have these gut-wrenching, painful conversations trying to claw back equity you gave away way too freely. But here's the good news. A messy cap table, it can be fixed. Now, it's not easy. It takes courage and some really difficult conversations. You have to go back to those early contributors, offer them new, formal agreements, this time with proper vesting schedules, and get all that paperwork tidied up before you even think about talking to new investors.
And the result? Totally worth it. In the real-world example that inspired this whole story, the founder did that hard work. And after all that cleanup, she successfully raised a $1.2 million seed round. And, most importantly, she still owned over 60% of her company. It just proves that taking ownership of your cap table pays off. Big time.
So, what have we learned? Let's boil all of this down into a simple, actionable playbook for you.
Just remember these 3 rules. First, a clean table means you walk into negotiations with confidence and strength. Second, a messy table can be fixed. The mistake isn't the real red flag. Ignoring it is. Investors actually respect founders who own up to it and clean up their own house. And finally, never, ever forget that the most valuable fundraising tool you have is the equity you still own. Protect it fiercely.
And that really just leaves us with one final question to think about. Your cap table isn't just a record of your past, it's the blueprint for your future. So take a hard look at yours and ask yourself, is it built to get me where I actually want to go?